and he blew it away. Again, 2 takes, just blew it away. And I moved to Mel as fast as we could, and Mel has to do this amazing physical performance because he has to be emotional while eating, and if anybody's ever tried to do that, it's impossible. It's 2 separate things. And it was so powerful, and I was like, whew. The whole thing, which we had scheduled the whole day, took 4 hours. Not even 4 hours, probably like 3 hours. And I knew we had one of those great moments on film. Door handle? The movie is supposed to evolve into this kind of nightmare situation, and really the basement is kind of like their hell almost. And immediately when we started doing it, I said, you know what, why don't we shoot this all with flashlights? Got it! And it's very powerful to just see rooms lit by flashlights and then absolute darkness. And when the lights go out in the theater and you just hear everybody gasp, is such a great thing, you know. I'm taking away everything that they can feel safe about. And when we shot the asthma attack, we were getting crushed by our schedule. We were supposed to be in the basement for a full week, and we're running out of time, and everybody's getting instructions, and it's like totally wartime. And it was one of those moments, and we just sat down in the dark in this basement, and we had a half hour to shoot this whole asthma attack.
Don't be afraid, Morgan. We'll slow this down together.
And Mel just kind of exposed his very dark side when he says, I hate you. It's the first time he actually acknowledges that there's something up there. And the way he acknowledges it is through hate.
I hate you.
The rhythm of the speech was kind of like driving, and then it would come in bursts, and it was sort of to himself, and it was not repetitive, but using the same words in different ways, meaning different things.
The fear is feeding it. Don't be afraid of what's happening. Believe it's going to pass. Believe it. Just wait. Don't be afraid.
That's his first step towards faith, was saying, acknowledging that it's there. You know, I'm pretending you weren't there for the whole movie, you know, but that's a lie. Okay, I'm lying about that, but you're there, but I hate, that's not a lie. I hate you. And he gets through this nightmare with this child, and then you know, he's a different person, you know. At the end of this, I think that he's faced in a way, he's facing his nightmares one at a time.
Well, okay, that's a visual alien, right?
Right.
It was just whether or not there'd be a reaction in his hands to hitting the alien. And my contention was no. I'd rather see the blur of this shot and then a clean swing as though he came across his chin. You wouldn't see a reaction in his hands. And it looks.
The scene about faith is really about seeing something that's not there because there wasn't anything there for them to see.
Action.
And so there was a real kind of going into a new place with these actors and everything. And this was just a really, really tricky thing to do when nothing's there. Come across the lens as much as you can.
It's a part of acting. I mean, it's just another element that you must have in your arsenal of tricks as an actor. You know, you need a lot of help with your imagination. Kind of help me out, help me picture this. What is this going to look like, and where is it going to be positioned? So my reaction, you know, does this make sense? This is how I imagined it, and it is difficult, but I have a pretty good sense of ultimately how it will look.
Hey, take one.
I tried to shoot, you know, as much as I can in sequence without getting crazy with the costs, you know. And in this movie, it naturally lent itself to that because it was mostly the outdoor stuff was early. Then we went into the house. So once we were in the house, we just shot in sequence in the house. The only thing that was out of sequence was the end scene outside in the backyard, which we had to shoot maybe at the halfway point of the movie. So that was you know, tough. I wish I didn't have to, but by the time we got to it, if we waited, it would have been winter outside. And so we wanted to do it in a kind of a way that was kinetic and real and not in the movie. I wanted to shake you up. So we left kind of the orchestrated shots and went to a handheld shot outside, which made you feel like, hey, even in the slightest way, is this not going to work out for us?
Don't touch him. Give him a minute.
That moment of what it feels like to feel his epiphany. You know, when you hear the boy say,
Dad?
we pan to Joaquin and the girl, it just goes into a tiny bit of slow motion, like they're feeling this rush of a miracle. And it's just those little things, I think, that make you feel, you know, what the characters are feeling.
Did someone save me?
I think someone did.
I saw this kind of Norman Rockwell opening and closing of, you know, the perfect backyard with the swing and the, you know, the crops in the corner, and everything's perfect, American ideal. And that at the end of the movie, the American ideal has changed a little because it's shattered glass, but it's still beautiful. As we pan around the room to make it one shot, and all of a sudden it's snowing in the other windows, and then we go to the bathroom door where we saw him come out in the beginning. And he comes out in his priest outfit, and I don't want him to say anything. I just want him to get dressed and walk out, and that would be the last moment. And it was really powerful. It was the last shot that we did, and it's the last take that we did that's in the movie. And, of course, it's take number 6. That number has particular significance to me. And Kate's good! Yeah! This was the rare occasion that the script really held its form as it was written. And, you know, the movie will have a pedigree of emotion. It will have been born of the right things, of the right motivations of faith and love and true moments of all of us. That everybody came to the movie and gave a little piece of their lives and their heart. It's a wonderful little EKG of all of our emotions. And I can't wait to see how it all came together and then see the reaction of the audience, you know?
What's the matter?
There's a monster outside my room. Can I have a glass of water?
Ready? Stand there in the background. Action! Go now. This is my first journey with CGI, and it was brutal. It was absolutely brutal because literally you have an entirely new job to do while you're making the movie with CGI, and I didn't realize how much the process needed me to have a vision in advance for that crew. And it was definitely a big learning process because it took twice as long, took twice as many people, it took twice as much effort as we had originally planned on. And as hands-on as I am with the music, with the screenplay, obviously, with the actors, I mean, literally, you have to do that and go through that process with this huge crew that's doing the special effects. So let's start with the creature itself.
Yeah, we got some new stuff.
Whoa.
When Knight came up with the idea, the presence, I'll call it, in this movie, we talked a long time, all of us, about just exactly what that would be and what people would see and what the audience would think they would see. Knight does a very interesting thing in the style of the way he shoots movies. By creating a sense of suspense, he sits on long shots with a great deal of confidence and patience, and he wants the audience to begin to sit in their seat and move forward. He wants you to wonder what you're looking at. It should be very subliminal. You should almost turn to the person sitting next to you and say, "What was that?" The restraint that Knight has in his storytelling and what he chooses to show you is definitely Hitchcockian. The whole idea that the imagination can give you so much more than anything that you necessarily put in front of somebody, and waiting as long as possible to show the audience creates a much more suspenseful, thrilling kind of scene.
Traditionally, when you're setting out to create a monster for a movie, what you do is you come up with a broad palette of options. And so we had our art directors present tonight very diverse choices to sort of hone in on what he was thinking it should look like, how human should it be. The script gave us some indications, but when Knight started to see a look that he preferred, he would steer us in that direction, and then we would continue to refine that look. Although I have to say it was through the entire production and into post-production, we were constantly fine-tuning the look of the creature. I think as the scenes were evolving editorially, Knight was getting a clearer view of what he wanted from the alien. Knight's original vision of the creature was slightly more feminine and more graceful. And originally, a woman was brought in and various video and other measurements were taken of her performance to try and create the foundation for how our creature was going to behave. When the creature performed the exact same motions and was superimposed into the scene, I think that everyone felt that the sense of threat was somehow diminished. And so the second phase of the evolution of that creature was for us to, without changing the basic idea, make it feel like it was more of a threatening presence. Initially, the concept of the creature's camouflaging ability was very similar to that we've seen perhaps in other movies, where the entire creature could render itself invisible. When we created that look on film as sort of a preview image, I think that Knight felt it was too science fiction-y, too movie magic, trick photography. And the movie is very much about the emotions and the reality of this family, and to put in something that would take the audience out of that sequence by making them notice the fancy visual effects was a mistake. So after a lot of trial and error, we came up with basically a slight revision to the character, which was that it did have this camouflaging ability, but only in that the pattern or the texture of its skin would change color. It doesn't disappear, but it's just harder to see.
Scream! Cut. Really great.
The scene in which the creature turns, and we see the image of the girl's face on its back, is the original photography from the set, and Rory's being suspended on wires on the set. The Creature Shop here at ILM created an animatronic hand. This was used in two sequences that also involve visual effects. One was in the pantry sequence, when Mel is looking under the door of the pantry and this hand sort of rushes out.
Action.
Because it was an animatronic hand, we filmed it rushing out from under the door on the set, but then we wanted to actually show that its fingers were being cut off. So halfway through the scene, we transitioned to our computer-generated hand. Looks exactly the same. The audience can't tell the difference, but now a computer-generated knife can come in and cut off the fingers. In the end sequence, when we actually see that the alien is holding Rory Culkin, it felt more realistic to use the hand, and since that was working, why should we change it? So what we did is we put in the rest of the creature from the elbow on back is all computer-generated. That was filmed here at ILM on a blue screen stage, and the reason for that was, by this point in the evolution of the scene, we knew that we wanted the creature to be a little bit more frightening, a little bit more kind of wild, almost like a crazed drug addict has come into your house. And so we dressed up a very big, very strong actor in a blue outfit and had him do the performance that Knight was looking for. And then the boy was put into the background scene already filmed, and instead of our big blue actor, we put in our creature. The creature in the movie is only seen briefly, but has to be completely identifiable to the audience exactly what its intentions are by its behavior. If you look at all the other performances and scenes from the human actors, they've all got a specific style to what they're doing, and I think the challenge in this film was for us to make our synthetic character follow that same type of performance. One of the most difficult points to get across in a very quick amount of time was the fact that the one weakness, the Achilles heel to this alien, was that it could not stand water on it. And so we looked at a lot of various chemicals, acids, what peroxide does, and we found that there was a foaming quality to the acids as they ate into the materials, and that this would be a great visual cue for us to incorporate in the event so that the audience would understand that it's not just that it doesn't like water, it doesn't like getting wet. This is actually damaging the creature. And then, of course, revealing what we call the meat-looking part of the creature, the muscles underneath the skin, it was very clear that this was very damaging to the creature. The creature is memorable in this film because it's so well dramatically supported. I think that's the difference. You can have the best looking, the best designed creature in a movie. If it's not supported by the story, if it's not important to the movie, it's very forgettable. In this film, the entire tapestry of the story is woven around these culminating events, and I think that the juxtaposition of this fantastic creature in the family house threatening the child is a very memorable sequence.
Okay, now turn them again. Ready? It was a very emotional process, but we